everyone. Today I am going to be doing a flip through of the latest Colouring Heaven magazine. This is the monthly one that's available to subscribers, but if you're not a subscriber you can buy it as a single edition on their website. It is cheaper to subscribe. I do need to say Colouring Heaven sponsor my channel by sending me these magazines for free, and I'm also an affiliate. My links are in the description. So here is their Japanese Mythology Special, 40 designs. They're all new and exclusive by Stanera. Now sometimes their designs aren't new and exclusive, they're sometimes from books, but these are, so that's quite interesting. If you're a fan of this type of thing, then this is a sort of unique book. Now they do have this offer, which I'm going to tell you a little about, which you can subscribe for half price. This is for the UK. It's £3.50 a magazine, and if you buy this in the shop it's £6.49, so that is cheaper. But also you can choose to pay 3 or 6 months and things like that. I will have a link to that deal also in the description, and I think that's only going to go on, and it says here offer, I think the offer, that offer is Jan 25p offer code, ends 30th of June, but I think they do have a offer going on until the end of May, which is the one I'll be sharing, which is I think a good one. As far as I'm aware, I'm trying to get that in shot. My camera is just cutting off a tiny bit. Could do with lifting it up just a tad, which I will do, just so you can see all of it. There we go. Oh, did that make any difference? A tiny difference. Okay, so the little bit on the cover says these are Ghibli-esque designs. Blah blah blah, and that's it really. But we do have, I know, a little bit of an explanation about who is in the picture and what's going on, so I will read you those as we do our flip through. So this first page, I'm not going to try and say the names, by the way, then, is the most revered goddess of the sun, from whom the Japanese imperial line descends. We can see all the sunflowers and the sort of sun's rays, so that's quite a fun picture. The next one is tempestuous god of storms and sea, so very different, a fierce warrior and bringer of change, so a very different character there. This one here is enigmatic deity of storms, lightning and celestial fire. So we've got a lot of sort of celestial items, a sort of, yeah. A deity of music, love and water who inspires creativity and harmony. We've got the fish in this one. I'm sorry the light isn't perfect for viewing. This one is god of thunder and lightning, commanding storms with powerful drum beats. Wow. Quite vicious. Serene and mysterious god of moon, ruler of the night sky. So we do a dark background, I would do there. Patron god of warriors and samurai, bringing protection, honor and strength. Look at the sword here. Got the sort of bamboo in the background. The male deity of land and clay, shaping the earth with his hands. It's a very interesting looking critters. It's got a very big foot. Sort of little critters in the background, and lots of mushrooms and berries. That's nice. Tree spirit and guardian of forest, watching over trees and the life they shelter. So sort of got like a bark type body, I would guess there. Compassionate goddess of mercy and salvation, bringing comfort and kindness to those in need. So have lovely lotus flowers, very pretty type one there. God of hunting and fishing, protector of game and forests. ghostly snow spirit, both beautiful and dangerous. Ooh, I guess these are like icicles. Smiling god of wealth, agriculture and prosperous harvests. Well, that's nice, isn't it? It's quite a cute one. Magical fox spirit, known for its wisdom, trickery and shape-shifting abilities. Cheerful god of fishermen, commerce and good fortune. Got a little one in a crab and a fish behind it. It's quite a big fish. Divine sea dragon princess, bridging the realms of land and ocean. Wild and energetic master of winds, shaping the skies and seasons with a bag of winds on his back. There it is. Sack. Mighty dragon god who rules the ocean depths, controlling the tides and marine life. A fierce and mystical bird-like goblin, guardian of mountains, skilled in martial arts and magic. So we've got the a sort of beak-like nose, we've got wings, we've got sort of talons. Interesting character. Beloved deity of rice, agriculture and prosperity, commanding sacred fox spirits as messengers. God of immense strength, returning the sun by opening the cave of Amaterasu. Sorry. A great guide and guardian, lighting the way for travellers and seekers. So I'm assuming this would be a light. I'm guessing. Oops. Primordial goddess of creation and death and ruler of the underworld. She looks so innocent. Patron of scholars, blessing those who seek knowledge and wisdom. We've got a lot of books, as you would expect, sort of magical, mystical type things going on. Blossom princess, symbol of delicate earthly life and powerful goddess of Mount Fuji and all volcanoes. Ooh, I like that one. Divine spirit of flowing waters, shaping rivers and ensuring their vitality. Grandson of Amaterasu, descending from heaven to earth to establish the earthly imperial line of Japan. So we have a child with, I think, an owl, but I'm not sure. This is like a sunflower, but sort of flat. And what's the sword? Powerful ruler of the deep, commanding the vast oceans and their creatures. Doesn't look very happy. We have a primordial deity, one of the three divine, brings responsible for creation itself. Beings, not being, brings. Can't read. A gentle yet forceful spirit, guiding the winds and whispers through the air. A fierce and blazing fire god, wielding the flames of creation and destruction. A powerful creator god, shaping the world and purifying himself to birth new deities. Generous deity of nourishment, providing sustenance to gods and mortals. So she's got a sort of lots of fruit, vegetables, broccoli. Divine dragon of rain and mist, nourishing the land with life-giving water. Kind-hearted goddess of agriculture and food, ensuring bountiful harvests and nourishment. A small but wise god of medicine, agriculture and hot springs, bringing healing and civilization. A graceful deity, bestowing good fortune, charm and elegance. Got what looks like lotus again, lily pads and things. Some fruits. Lively goddess of dawn, revelry and dance, bringing light to dark times. Wise and revered deity of rituals and prayers, advisor to the gods. And the last one is divine ruler of flowing waters, bringing purification and life to the world. I've decided which one I'm going to colour. I've chosen this simple one. It'll be easier. There we go. Oh, I brought through my Prismacolors because I knew that we'd be doing skin tone, and I find it easier with these, as I've said before. So we're going to start. I'm just going to have a little look. Yeah, so we've got a hand and a face. I'm going to come in a little closer, but I'm going to do both of those at the same time. So this is page 35, by the way, just if you're wanting to have a go. So Prismacolor, I'm going to start with my beige, as I always do with my skin tone. Now it always looks a little bit weird, but it works, I find, as a nice base colour. So here is the beige. I need to sharpen it. There we go. So beige. You're not going to be able to read that, I shouldn't imagine. It's hard to read anyway, let alone in camera. And what I'm going to do is just work this a layer across. Now she will look very odd, so don't worry, it will work. We layer it up. Now I get a lot of questions from people asking me about the paper in the Colouring Heaven magazines. Now I find that the paper, you can see that it's thinnish because you can see the pattern coming through. Now obviously they can't, there's always a debate about thickness of paper, because obviously thicker paper is heavier, and that makes it not only more expensive to buy, to print, to buy and to transport, and so that will put up the cover price. So there has to be some sort of compromise between you know, the heaviness of the paper and the sort of cost issue. It is thicker than a copy paper, and it is slightly toothy, meaning if you run your finger over it, you can feel it's a little bit rough. And what that means is that you can get more layers of pencil down. I'm going to do the hand as well. I'm going to go over the nail too. Now, if you have really smooth paper, it can be very difficult to get layers of pencil down. But also, if you're using a really soft pencil like a Prismacolor, like I'm using right now, it can actually just sort of almost skate over the surface and feel quite nasty. So I think I'm going to come in closer now, because you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing. Now I've just done this sort of layer. Now it's quite subtle. I tried to do it as even as I could. It isn't perfect. That's absolutely fine. And we're going to now use the nectar. Now the nectar will be used to mark out where I want darker areas. So underneath the chin, for example, here there would be some shadow. So I'm just starting to put that in. Now, it does look suddenly awfully dark because of the, you know, this is a much darker colour than the beige, but it works out eventually. I've got to work out how to sort of do this because, you know, she's got no lips. I think I'm just going to mark out what is here for us, if you know what I mean. I mean, the other side of the nose, I don't know. And this bit is such a long bit. You know, the nose, there's the ends there. This cheek is really long, so you just do that a little bit to put in a bit of shape. And also there'll be shadow along the hairline, so we'll just put that in a little bit with the nectar and down here. I think might be a little bit there. I'm not going to put too much shadow on that side of the face. It's more likely to be on this side from the hair, like that, although put a little bit there. Also, if you think about the shape of the chin, there might be a bit of shadow around there, but we'll not use too much. Need to come in there a little bit there, and also sort of under the nose like that. We haven't got it drawn in. Okay, so I've just marked out a few bits with that, and then we're going to go in with a light peach. It's getting quite small. I think that's a, yeah, light peach. and sort of blend it in and add some more colour. So I'm going to start on the neck, and you can see that as I go over this, I'm going to smush it, and I'm going to also push some towards the middle. Can you see? Like that. And the same here. And then because it's sort of blending in, it doesn't look quite so odd. I try and leave a lighter bit at the bottom of the face. It helps to make the jawline look a little bit more shapely. Now she starts to begin to look quite orange. What I find is that the faces, when I do this, the faces always remain looking orange until I've put down some colour on the hair, and then it helps make it a little less orangey. I don't know what to do with the mouth. I'm just going to colour over it like that, I think. I want to put a bit of this colour everywhere, but obviously some areas are going to be darker than others. And I'm now going to use a little bit of pink to make it look slightly less orange. Actually, I might do some purple first. Using a greyed lavender is quite a good way to put your shadows in. So I'm going to use a little bit under here. Like that. A little bit at the back, not quite so much. I've gone on the hair by mistake. And then under the eyes, I'm not, as I say, I'm not really sure how to colour these sorts of pictures, so I'm just doing it my way. I mean, it's totally up to you if you copy. Now you could use a grey for these shadowy lines rather than a purple, but purple seems to work quite well. What I would do is, once I've sort of done my pink and had a little think, I might add some grey as well. So we'll see. This is the lightest pink, it's the deco pink. Okay. So I just want to put a layer of pink over everything, just to soften her skin, make it look less orangey. Now, getting a skin tone right is very difficult. Not just with regards to getting the right colour, but getting the right shadows and shading. But it just takes practice and confidence. And you just have to keep trying until you're satisfied with your skills. Now I'm going to use the Deco Peach, or the light peach. Which one did I use? That's a Deco Peach I'm going to use now. Just need to sharpen it. Whoop, nearly dropped my sharpener. And that might be our final layer. Here we go. Deco Peach. But you can keep on just working with it until you're happy. Because, as I say, this paper can take quite a lot of layers. So you can just keep pushing with it. Now you've got the sort of beige siennas. You've got white, you know, there's a lot of sort of tones that you can add in and out to sort of get the look that you want. Now I find with the Prismacolors, they're sort of semi-transparent, but not as transparent as a lot of pencils. So if you are unhappy with what you've done, you can layer a lot of pencil on top and it will hide it quite well. But if you use lots of light layers, which is a better technique to use, to be honest, then you can just build up your layers of colour and achieve the look that you want, bit by bit. There we go. Now her hand I'm going to do next. So we only put a beige layer down, so I'm going to grab my, I'm going to go in the same order I did before. So this is the Nectar, and I'm going to think about where would there be sort of darker areas. So I think, you know, towards the bottom, just looking at my own hand, there'd be shadows in here, and they could go straight in with the washed lavender if you don't want to put the sort of darker colours on. But for me, I like that. I'm just looking at how my hand looks and how I think we might draw in a bit of knuckle. You don't have to, you can just leave it quite plain and simple if it's easier. That looks a bit too high, I don't know. Her hand looks long now. That is how it's bent though. My nails are darker than my hand, apart from the tip. Okay, let's have a fiddle with that with our deco light peach, sorry. Now the light peach is quite a pale colour, so if you feel that any areas are a bit too dark, this is a great way to sort of blend them out. And you can sort of extend them a little bit as well. I'm going to do here. I want the fingers a little bit darker on the edges. That'll help to make them look a bit more shapely. Same as the hand itself. Now a bit of pink all over, the deco pink, as we did before. So here I'm just changing the tone somewhat, the colour. As my wash lavender has disappeared, here it is, greyed lavender, sorry, I called it the wrong name. So this is where I'm going to put in these shadowy bits. Train going by. Now there would also be one here across her jacket, and then back to our deco peach, just sort of finish off. I've made her fingers look quite bony, but maybe they are. There we go. Now, hair. Ooh. Bringing my swatch chart with me. Let's have a look at all of the hair. So let me see how far down. It goes down to here, so we're going to have to come out. There it is. So we've got quite a lot this side. We've got braids, a swell, and the hair coming down there. Now it's very tempting to go with a blonde type look, but I think this corn would be that colour. I think I will start with a light colour and then build up some colours. So this is my beige. I'm going to start with beige. I'm going to look carefully to see where this braid is, because it starts, can you see it down here? You can just about see. So it's down here. Now braids might feel hard. I find them quite easy to colour, because it tells us where to put the light and dark, and I'll show you. So there's a bit there. Now I need to pick it out from behind our wheat. I'm assuming it's wheat, corn could be. I don't know the difference. I mean, obviously I do when you eat it. Tastes different. Corn I think is sweeter. But now where's the rest of her hair? You see we've got this bit here. I'm going to go there and there, I think, and leave a gap there like that. This is where just doing this initial layer is quite useful, because just marking out, see there's a bit of hair there. I think it would fill this space, you know, and I can just think about what's going on, where everything is. And we've got this bit here, And then her eyebrows. I realise I haven't done her eyes, and I've missed a little tiny bit there, which I'm just going to use a pink to fill in. There we go. Now her hair at the back seems to start here and go up there. And I'm trying to decide there whether this corn or wheat, what colour are the sort of sticky bits, the leafy bits and the heads, you know, how I think I'm going to make all this hair. It's going to be a lot easier like that. Yeah, so what colour are the sort of heads of corn and the leafy bits? Because I think it depends on how ripe it is. It can be very green, but I doubt you would harvest it when it was green. Oh, I've got hiccups now, sorry. I've just been cooking and I'm so hungry. I did have to lick the spoon, whoops, and I spilt a bit on the cooker, so I had to eat that. It was clean, the cooker had been cleaned. Before I started, I had to clean it again. But I was making a bean bake, black bean bake. It's what I tend to make to go with Christmas lunch, but I've got guests coming tomorrow, and because of it being my birthday on Saturday, my sister's birthday as well, so she's coming, being a twin. So I was making this black bean bake, which I love. So just saute some cubes of mushroom, boil some sweet potato and parsnip cubes, and then tip it all in together, mash it a little bit, add some black beans, add some oats, sage, stock cubes. There you go. Delicious. I usually put rosemary in it as well, but I didn't have any, so sage, and I just use dried sage. Okay, we're going to do the next part of the hair. This is the light umber, and what we're going to do is put some darker bits in. So I'm going to start here on this braid, and I'm going to fade to the centre of the piece like that. On each little section, so we have to sort of do each section separately. Obviously just now we just coloured it all as a whole, but now we're doing it in little sections. So just sort of fade towards the centre of each bit from both directions, so the centre bit looks like it's a little bit shiny. Just want to make hair look shiny. Now I think these deities might all have black hair, to be honest, but mine isn't going to be black. I can't really see what's going on in here, so I'm just going to put some colour down and hope that it's going to work. I'm going to sort of fade towards the middle, just the bit I can see really. So I've got a lighter bit going up there. Hopefully you can just about see. Go. So yes, I was cooking and that was fun. I do enjoy cooking. I've got to do a lot more though, but that could be done in advance, and it takes a little while to get prepared, so I thought I'd just prepare it in advance and go in the fridge overnight and be ready, come out tomorrow to sort of warm up a little bit before it goes in the oven. I don't know how long for, I don't know. And I'm going to do some boiled new potatoes, nice and easy, which I'll probably prep later as well. And I'm going to do a mix of roasted veg and boiled veg because everyone likes different things. So I'm going to boil some cauliflower and broccoli together, some carrots, and microwave some peas, but like frozen peas. But I'm also going to do some two different types of roasted vegetable. One root vegetable, so parsnip, sweet potato, butternut squash, carrot, not carrots, I'd go and boil the carrots, that sort of thing. And then one with, it's hard now because we've got long bits of hair, so I'm sort of just winging it really, doing some dark bits, some light bits here and there. This bit's easier because we can see where it might catch the light in the middle. And then a mix with peppers, courgettes, mushrooms and aubergine. So there are different things because got different ages, different diets. Like my sister and her family are vegans, my husband is a meat eater, my parents eat meat, they're on a low carb diet. It's my husband has lots of food intolerances, as do I. It's really difficult, so just thought I would keep it quite simple. And then at tea time it's just going to be lots of little salady bits, help yourself, so you know, sort of greens, leaves and avocado and olives and tomatoes and cucumber and peppers, and there's going to be some wraps and some pittas and some hummus and maybe some salsa I thought I might get, and I haven't finished shopping yet, got to do that after lunch. And yeah, just all sorts of little goodies as it's a sort of celebration. I've got some sort of different crispy bits as well, you know, vegetable chips and tortilla chips and things like that. So hopefully there'll be plenty for everyone. It's always so hard, you know, you never know how much everyone's going to eat. One of my nieces doesn't eat very much, one of them eats a fair bit. You know, my parents tend not to eat loads, but so it's hard. I always eat loads. Well, when you're cooking food you like, you eat it. And leftovers won't be a problem. My boys will be home later in the evening. They can, I'll have to see what they want. I thought I might make a rice salad if there's any of the sort of peppers and that sort of veg left. I could just stir them into some rice. I've got some easy pre-cooked rice in a bag, in a pouch, you know, dead easy rice, so I can make a rice salad as well. See, this bit is going to be darker here, but this bit's going to be really light, so I think we need to just sort of you know, get lighter as we get up to the top there. But the moment, well, yeah, sounds like I can hear the dust cart. It's bin day. My husband was worrying because the neighbours had put the wrong type of rubbish in the wrong bin. He gets ever so worried about things like that. It's like, just leave it, they'll get a note. What happens is if the bin doesn't get emptied properly, they'll get left a note. It's like, no, I couldn't do that, I took it out and moved it into the right bin, and now their other bin is full because they put all the wrong stuff in it. So, now I want to tell them about it, but they're not in. I was like, oh dear. Now, I'm going to use a little bit of chocolate to just put in a little bit more shadowy areas. I just realised how scary her eyes are looking. I need to do something about that. So just on the very edges where we put in these darker bits, we just put in a little bit of this chocolate colour. I've got to get that off, it's annoying me. Okay. It's flipping and flapping about. There we go. Now under here it'll be quite dark where her chin, shadowing it. Try not to colour over her chin like I did. Yeah, Her eyes need something, don't they? Yeah, see, husband likes putting all the neighbours' bins out, so you just get worried when people do it wrong. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. Or, oh, so-and-so hasn't put a food bin out. That's okay. Let them do what they want. I think some people think the idea of the food bin is horrible. So what we have is a caddy that sits on the worktop that you can put your food waste in, and then you empty it into a curbside box, which then gets collected. They all collect from either box, to be honest. And I think people think the idea of having this sort of food waste sitting on their worktop is pretty horrible. And we're very lucky because when we had our kitchen redone, we had a bin in a cupboard with 3 sections, and one of them is our food, so it's tucked away, which is nice. Oh, it's getting a very funny shaped pencil end, but you know, a lot of people don't have that luxury. I'm going to put a bit of shadow under there. There we go. Now her eyebrows, I'm going to put some chocolate brown strands into her eyebrows. And I'm also going to do that with the light umber that we used before, but I need to sharpen it first. There we go. Now I want a colour to go over her hair to make it look more warm and shiny, and I am going to use the yellow ochre. I hope. It's getting really short, yellow ochre. It's not too short. So what I'm going to do is take this over everything and just spread it right to the middle, but try and do it a little bit more gently in those bits that are really pale. But it will give her hair a pretty golden look. It will look very much like our wheat. What I think I might do with the wheat is make it a little bit green, and then it won't look the same colour as the hair. But I just want her hair to look pretty. So I am leaving a little bit of the lighter beige colour in some areas. You see, it looks very much prettier, sort of goldeny hair. And we'll just work all around. Yeah, I was talking to my neighbour about how adulting, you know, how we spend our youth wishing we were grown up and adults, and then we just have things to worry about. Because she was talking about how her water, she's got a bit of a leak going on somewhere, and she needs to go and turn her water off or something. Just gonna do the eyebrows a little bit like that, and you know, and there's always a job to do, something that needs fixing or paying or whatever, you know. It's you know, not quite as fun as you might think. I think the only time I felt like I had a real sort of freedom of feeling grown up was when I was a student, because I had money, I wasn't working, I just had the freedom to do as I wanted when I wanted. And although I didn't go out and do masses of things, just knowing that I could was really nice, you know. I was sort of away from home. I could go out in an evening, I could get back whenever I wanted. No one was there to say, "Oh, where have you been?" I didn't used to do that very much. But, you know, it was just having that, you know, I could get up in the morning, decide I was going to go out on a weekend. I didn't have any classes. I went to my classes. But, you know, I could get up in the morning on a weekend, whatever time I wanted, and go and do whatever I wanted. I used to usually go out. I didn't used to stay, unless I had a lot of work to do, which I didn't tend to, because I used to keep on top of it pretty well. if I would tend to go out somewhere, have a little walk, you know, explore the areas a bit, go to a country park or something, you know, walk miles, and yeah, and just not have to think about anybody else, you know. I used to miss green spaces because I was in the city. I was in Glasgow in the city, and having come from an area where you could see green and there were parks and things like that, I used to go and try and find parks and green places and things like that. I would get my big map out. I had a big street map, and I would have a look on it and look for green places, and when I found something that was marked as green, I would go and find it and go and have a little look around. So there's some lovely parks, Kelvin Grove Park. I used to enjoy going to Pollock Park, another one, really nice. It's a long walk, but worth it. And I remember walking there and getting absolutely soaked and going into the loos and trying to dry myself off under the hand dryer. I was so wet. And then, because I didn't want to walk around, it's there's a museum in there, the Burrell collection, and I didn't want to walk around the museum dripping wet, so I tried to dry myself off a bit. And yeah, and they used to have as in the long driveway up to the Burrell collection museum. I think it's still there. There's a long driveway. Of course, I would walk up the driveway because I was on foot. And there were Aberdeen Angus cows in the fields, and they were so cute. They'd come and pop their little heads over the fence and have a little nosy at me as I walked by. Oh, I would want to try and feed them something, but I knew that that wasn't, even if it was grass from the side of the field, it wasn't acceptable to do that. But yeah, they were so cute. She looks a bit ginger, I'm thinking. Maybe, maybe not. There we go. Now we have her, it's a bushel, was it a bushel of corn, do you think? Wheat, bushel of, I don't know. I'm going to look at my colours. I'm just going to look at my swatch, which is here. And I'm wondering whether, I'm thinking I'm going to try a very light marine green with something over the top. That's my marine green. That's olive. Get there in a minute. Kelp green, no. Moss green. Where are you, marine green? Celadon. Sorry, we'll get there in a minute. That's Celadon as well. I've got several of the same colours at the moment. Maybe it's that one. There it is, marine green. So I'm going to use this lightly, only over the heads of the corn, wheat. Now of course you don't have to do this. You might want to grab your golden rod and do them really dark, and absolutely do if that's what you want. But this will brighten once I add my next colour. I'm not sure. I think these stalks might do the same colour. The wheat, the stalks, not the leafy bits, if that makes sense. So like this sort of stalky bit there. Now we do have some shape to them which we could enhance with our colour. I'm not sure about doing that. There we go, nearly there, just a faint. Then I'm going to use my, is that going to work? I think so. I'm going to try it with the yellow chartreuse. It's a greeny yellow on top to make them more vibrant, but with this sort of greeny hue. As I say, you might want to go for a golden rod or even just a yellow ochre, but because I use so much in the hair, I feel I'd be very samey, but maybe that would work. You know that her hair would match the wheat that she's holding, you know, because of her position as the god. I'm not sure. But I want to do the these bits more like straw, so I'm going to do them in a slightly different colour. Right, I think that's nearly them all. So the strawy type colour, I could go use the jasmine, I guess. I think that would be the best idea because it's a lot paler than the ochre. Mine's getting really short. Jasmine. You'll see that it does look quite straw-like, I think. I considered the eggshell. I'm going to go over that as well with it. I had considered the eggshell, but I think it's a little bit, it's not quite right. Now we are tied together. I think normally when you form a bushel of corn, now this is my very limited knowledge from reading Little House on the Prairie books, I think you would tie them together with their own straw type thing. I think when you make your sheaf of corn, you tie it together with itself, I think. So I am going to do that. Colour it the same as this. And you can see I'm just marking it out at the moment. I haven't decided whether we're going to do anything too fancy or whether we're just going to leave them in this one colour. I need to sharpen my pencil. I know that for sure. I'm going to push the book up a little bit because there are some bits nearer the bottom that I need to remember to do. There's a lot going on, isn't there? All these lines. You have to sort of half guess a little bit as to what's corn and what's dress. Well, I don't know if I'd call it a dress. Is it a sort of robe? I don't know. There we go. It's quite interesting, the idea of having different gods for different things. I think we very much had that in... I think it's just a crease in her robe. We very much had that, I think, in England, sort of pagan times before Christianity. And it sort of makes sense, doesn't it? Different gods for different... There's a lot of duty to be a god over everything. It's quite a big job, isn't it? So, I don't really know anyone who still has that belief, but I suspect there are people. Certainly where I live, there are people who believe in welcoming the seasons and things like that. We have a there is a nearby village that does a sort of apple, some sort of apple thing where they bless the apple trees, the apple harvest. That's very pagan, I think. And on the common near here, there was a lot of dancing and celebration on the 1st of May when the sun rose for May Day. So that was interesting. There we go. Now we've got her robe to do and the sort of outline. We need to do our eyes. Let's do those, else I'm going to forget. No, the centres need to be black, but I think we can leave a tiny little white bit. I'm going to actually use my very thin black. It's the same as Prismacolor. It's a bit thinner. Will enable me to leave a bit of white in the eye like that. Same on the other side. Like that, and then the iris, I feel like I want it to be blue. I think that would match the colour of her hair. I'm going to use the true blue. I can find it. Is that it there? Yeah, again, I've got a very thin pencil. You can get a better, more accurate line. I'm going to fade it to the top and make it a bit lighter at the top. There we go. Now, where should we go now? We need to do the robe. We could do it blue to match her eyes, or green to sort of bring forward the wheat a little bit. I'm thinking I might go with down the green route, maybe the olive. Might that be a bit boring? Might be better to go for red, something bright. I know. Let's go for a, what's that? That's Scarlet Lake. I'm going to use that now. We're a little bit close. There we go. So we need to, I think that edge there, that could be a white sort of collar from something underneath. I'm going to just mark it all out first. Oh, I wonder how my son's doing. He's got a presentation today at uni. I think that might be the edge of the road there, but I'm not sure. I didn't wish him luck or anything. I didn't know what to say really. You know how it is. You know, I'm sure he's quite nervous. He basically spent like about 3/4 of an hour last night preparing for it, and that was it. It's a group one. They got together online. He had to wait for everyone else. It wasn't his fault. And they just chatted about it for that short amount of time, and that's it. But he reckoned it would be okay. The thing is, it's not what they do in the presentation isn't important. They've got to reflect on it in their write-up, so it doesn't really matter what they say or how they act. They've just got to talk about it, so I think he'll be fine. It's just you know, it's quite a nervy thing to do, isn't it? I used to like doing them, to be honest, but I always got a bit nervous still. But I think that you need to, you know, to have the right amount of adrenaline and to be able to address a group of people and speak with authority, etc. But it can be quite daunting. I do know people who just couldn't do them. You know, it was just too much for them. I think that might be the end of the sleeve there. But I could always manage my nerves just about. I was always, if I was talking about something I knew about, I was always better. And afterwards I was always on such a high, you know, from doing it. And eventually I sort of did teaching, which is effectively the same thing, except you're doing it all the time. But I didn't teach full time ever. I just did little odd classes here and there. I really enjoyed it. But I don't know if I was a good teacher. I think the one class I taught, I didn't really know what I was talking about, so I was a bad teacher for that. Now, I'm trying to work out then, I think, where all this goes in here. I think that's okay. I'm not going to do a background behind her. So now I'm going to use the Tuscan red to do a little bit of shading shadows in the top. So under here, look, this is sort of under her arms, it'd be a bit darker, or around her arm where these creases are in the fabric, you'd have, it would be a bit darker. And especially like here under her hand. Like that. And I'm assuming this is a crease too. And it'd be a bit darker there. And then sort of under here it'd be a bit darker just because of all the shadow of the heads of the corn, wheat. I've done it as wheat. There we go. Now I'm going to go back to the original Scarlet Lake and just put some more down. Just make it a little bit more confident and finished, you know. There we go. And some, I noticed some gaps as well that need filling, so I can do that as I go through, and then we are nearly done, apart from the little border. As I say, I'm not going to do a background behind her, but we will do that little border. Now you can, of course, layer up your Prismacolors a lot more than I am and get a lot more thicker colour and better textures and things like that, but I'm just keeping it quite straightforward and simple really. I don't want to spend hours. I find if I spend too long I get bored and I rush it and I spoil it. I'd rather just know that, you know, this is my last little bit and I can just enjoy it. Fill it in, sharpen my pencil. Now some people, when they're using a Prismacolor, they'll press quite hard, and if you press hard you can get a really thick line. I've heard people even comparing it to colouring with lipstick. You can do that, and it's not advisable. I think if you were colouring, sorry, my battery just went flat, but I'm just going to finish off colouring this little bit and then we'll do that border before we finish. I've got no idea now how long I've been wittering on for, but anyway. Just fill in these last few little bits. Now you can go over that straw a few times as well. It's quite pale, but I'm going to leave it. I'm quite happy as it is. Now with this edge, it looks to me like it's sort of beads and things, string and beads. I think it's quite pretty. I'm going to use the blue that I use for her eyes, so this is the true blue, and I'm going to use it for the beads and the line. Now again, this is the Verithin, so it's much easier to do these little teeny details, and I'll soon decide what colour to do the other beads. Haven't quite decided yet. It might not be beads, of course, but it's what it looks like to me. And it makes quite a pretty frame. Now, of course, you could do a background inside of this framework. What would I do? I'd probably get a bit soft pastel, do a sky, because she might be outside. But I think because there's nothing drawn there, oops, she looks fine. But also if I was doing sky, I wouldn't do this colour for the border, because it's too sky-like in colour. There we go, we're getting there. finicky. It's hard to natter when I'm concentrating. Yeah, luckily I've got some spare batteries for my camera, one of which sits in a charger all the time, so I could swap it over. Right, I'm going to do a red. I'm hoping that I've got the Tuscan red in a Verithin, so I'm going to use that one. I'm wondering whether these beads or whatever they are have some sort of significance, but I just don't know anything about this sort of thing, so I'm not a very good, useful person to know, but I just did it the best way I could, had some fun with it, and hopefully it's been okay, and if you wanted to colour along, then hopefully you can have a go. I do think that maybe her hair should be black, but hey, it's fine. There she is. There she is. Done. My camera seems really wonky, but I've lined the book up with it, so hopefully it's all okay. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and happy colouring.